put these on here. That's right. Dove Nation. You are tuned in. Can I get a little a volume? Yes, we're on. We're live. That's right. Well, Dove Nation. We thank you guys for always tuning in. You are listening to yesterday's Price of Drea Bloom show, where we're having an explosive conversation on all things value. Now, I just want you guys to know that today is going to be big, big, big. Okay, listen, we're going to have an explosive conversation with an amazing guest. Now, I want you guys to know that this guest didn't come by happenstance. I think Shemia was supposed to be on the show for a while now, okay? But listen, timing of God is everything, and you have to know it. Listen to me. So I'm super excited today to let you guys know that not only, because we're going to get into conversation in a minute, that we're having this conversation, but we have, someone sponsoring this conversation, making sure this conversation happens. And that's Miss Nat's Restaurant. You want to make sure you eat good, feel good, and be good today. So all you got to do is go and place your order today. Get yourself some good wings, okay? Because it's going to be real good. 352-7596, and make sure you guys are getting ready for this conversation. Well, guys, I'm super excited because not only, okay, are we having a conversation, but this one is celebrating a big milestone in her life, because yesterday she celebrated her birthday. So we're going to say, happy birthday to you. And we are talking with a brand coach, okay, Shemia A. Williams. Somebody say, woo! Y'all ain't getting no sound effects yet, so y'all gotta be my sound effects on the other side. Oh my goodness, she celebrated life, y'all. Birthday is life. And listen, we're super excited to have her in studio today talking with us. So Shemia, please introduce yourself and let them know who is Shemia A. Williams.
Well, she's already said my name. She said what I do, but what I do here on Grand Bahama and even with people in Canada and the US is I help people to tap into their bold ideas, their big ideas. I help them to tap into it, to build brands around it, and to get it off the ground so people could, finally get that start. We have a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas and they're just sitting on it and they don't know how to get started or what to do about it. So I give them that little, push off the edge of the cliff to get it started and get it going.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, okay, that's why the title of the show is called The Cost of Big. We're about to find out, what did it cost Shemia to go big or go home? Listen, Shemia is a believer, if you don't know that, for sure. And she is also the brand coach, the head brand coach at Big Bold Borderless Creative Group. Well, Borderless Creative Group would be say Big Bold and Borderless, because that's what she does. She takes a brand, and let me tell you something. I don't know about you, but if you've been trying to get yourself, your story in a way, packaged in a way where people actually know what it is that you do, who it is that you serve, and a particular style to it, an aesthetic to it, and I don't want to use the word aesthetic because it's just be thrown around, but Shemia does something that's so unique, and the way that she does it is just so classy. And I just want you guys to know that Shemia actually helped me with my brand. And to think that I was a brand in sales until I met Shemia. She helped me get it together because she helped me do my landing page, DrayaBlooms.com. Okay, and let me tell you something. It's so beautiful. Every time I just go on there just to look. Okay, one of the things was I actually had three subscribers right after the launch. I had three subscribers. I didn't know certain things, but that's I know what you mean. It's like you're supposed to be on that a consultation call, but listen, I just want we can hush that. We gotta talk. But listen, I just wanted to get into this conversation today because we understand who Shemia is and who does Shemia serve. Tell them.
Well, I serve people who are influencers in their spaces, and they want to build brands around what they do, either creatively, expertly, or what they believe in passionately. I help people to build brands that other people want to believe in. You know, that something that's deep resonating within you that really needs to come out and get out into the world that people actually need. I help people that have those gifts and talents hidden on the inside of them bring those things forward so that they can actually serve people who need what God is placing their hearts to do.
My goodness, I hope you guys are hearing this. So if it takes you to actually realize that you can't do this on your own. It takes you to actually realize that there is, at this point of your life, your business, your brand, I can't do this on my own, right? I need somebody who has a clearer vision, right? Because for me personally, and I remember, even when I reached out to you, I was like, we it was a collaboration. We wanted to work together because one thing I know when I see value somewhere, and that's why this show is called Yesterday's Prize. Okay,
Right.
what it cost me last year, it don't cost the same thing now. But one thing I could appreciate is that the conversation, right, about your brand, a lot of persons don't realize that we have to have this particular conversation, and that particular conversation, it looks like, am I actually able, to handle my brand on my own? Do I need to bring in someone who's going to coach me, who's going to get me to actually take a look at this and realize that it needs work? It needs work. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that something in your life needs some work, right?
Right.
And so my next question to you is, because you did the work.
Right.
So how did you become a brand coach?
Well, I started off doing brand graphics, well, regular graphics and design, flyers, posters, different things like that. And I ended up working in my beginning stages with quite a bit of people in the creative spaces and also people in the nonprofit spaces and leaders and things like that. And so that's how I ended up eventually evolving into brand coaching, because what I found was that a lot of people who have the gifts and the talents and the ideas, sometimes they don't know where to start. And so they find themselves starting at the wrong spot, and it's not giving them the traction that they want. And usually what ends up happening is that over time, after you continue investing in your time and your energy and your hopes and your dreams and your money, into certain things, and it doesn't pan out the way that you want, you could get a little bit discouraged. But like, the world can't afford for you to get discouraged and to give up. We need you. The gifts and the talents that God placed inside of you, we need it to come forward. And so what also happens a lot is the people who help other people usually are the ones who can't help themselves, because you can't really see yourself like that. You need someone to come in and to walk along with you and to help you and to encourage you. You've done the encouraging, you've done the inspiring, you've done uplifting everybody else, but who's there for you? Who's going to help you to do it? And a lot of us in those types of spaces, especially the ones with big dreams, big ideas, we find ourselves feeling alone and isolated at the top. That's what we say. It's lonely at the top. But what it is you need someone who understands what it means to have that kind of gifts and ideas and passion on the inside of you, and to help you to get uplifted and to bring what is inside of you out. Because you do it for other people effortlessly, right? Because you said yourself, you do brand styling. And so when I spoke to you, it's like, this is what I do for other people. But for some reason, I'm not
can't do
making
it
it happen.
myself.
And if I be completely honest, even as a graphic designer,
Mhm.
anytime I have to sit myself in the seat as my client, I am my worst client. I have no ideas what I want. I'm like
It's very
the one you would,
cloudy.
I'm the one you would fire. Like, I'm the one that I wouldn't want to work with. But and understanding and recognizing that, I realized that some people were starting, like I said, some people were starting at the wrong spot. They needed to answer some deeper questions. And as I was digging into answering these questions for me, I realized that, it, the things we go through aren't just for us. So let me use my experience to help other people. Because one thing I don't like to see is when people who you know have that rich thing deep in the inside of them, when you see them quit
My goodness.
or just get discouraged or become
Mm.
despondent, and they're just, off the scene. So that's how I ended up in the brand coaching space.
This is so amazing because a lot of times we're especially when we become believers,
Right.
we go through the salvation season where
Mhm.
we're just saved, and then we go through that evangelism. We want to help everybody get
Right.
saved, and then we go through a season where we get refined, we prune. We go through a refiner's fire. We're trying to figure out, well, why is this happening from serving God and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But then we go through a season where God begins to define our identity.
Mhm.
And it's so important that we do find ourselves, in the presence of God, where he does define our identity, because you're able to move different, you're able to function different. I want to ask you this question. I don't think I've ever asked a guest this, but what were you doing before you recognized that this was the calling of God? Like, although you are called in ministry,
Right.
that this was also a calling, and I'm identifying that I'm not just a graphic designer.
Mhm.
I'm not just someone that does this and that and work with people. Them little frivolous
Yeah.
things. I'm a brand coach.
Mhm.
What were you doing before that? Before you got to a brand coach?
Well, I would say I was living life. Like everyone else, you're just trying to make it from day to day, right? You know there's something bigger and deeper and more meaningful you need to be doing with yourself and with your life. But you're following along the path that you're supposed to take. You got to be able to take care of home. You got to be able to, support yourself and all those things. And so just really getting deep into doing that, going down that path that we know we're supposed to go down naturally. You're out of school. If you get to go to college, that's great and whatever. But either way, all of us are kind of lined up on a track where next thing you need to do is go to work. Try to see if you could start, building material wealth in some kind of way, whatever that looks like for you and whatever is important to you. You try to do that. You got to secure, house, car, savings, family, and all these different things. So I was going through life, but I also knew that I wasn't satisfied with life as is.
Ooh.
And it's like, it has to be more than this. I can't just get up every morning and go to work, come home tired, and do that again and repeat the cycle and just be living for the weekend. And so even in going into graphic design, I did go to college, but I went to college for business administration. So graphic design was a skill that I had learned before I got to go to college, working in a print shop, designing the collages and the funeral booklets and things like that. So I never saw any of this as a part of God's ultimate plan for my life to help people. I never saw it as that. I was doing the graphic design thing on the side, freelancing, someone need a flyer or whatever, I knocked that out. And then when I realized like this deep sense of doing something on my own wasn't going away, my first attempt at, which was a big embarrassing flop. My first attempt at entrepreneurship, I didn't do anything right. I think I made up mistakes. I think I was like, oh, let me go and, see if I could invent a new way to be bad at this that no one's ever heard of. So I have a book of things that I did wrong that I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm the only one in life that ever did those things wrong. But even in that, it was this deep sense that I need to teach people what I learned through my mistakes.
Jesus.
And so before I got into the coaching space, before I got into brand coaching, I was moving towards just helping people to get their businesses off the ground. And because, like I said, I was encountering people who were starting at the wrong spot. Like, for example, a person would come to me, not a person, many people over and over again. They would come and they would say, I have a business idea. Now, that's the first thing. They have a business idea. So the second step is go and find a graphic designer to get you a logo, flyer, and a business card.
Yes. That's
Right.
That's the first business step.
Right. No license.
Of a hustle, because it ain't a real
right. So it's like, I have this thing, but I need to see something to make it feel real. And so they would come and eventually I was at the point where I stopped doing those things for people who didn't at least start the process of licensing. Because you go and you do this and the hype and all of that, and then you find out that you can't even get that name because it's registered to someone else. And so I went down a path where I was like, let me see if I could help people to put things in perspective, to put them in the order and to do them the right way, so that your really, really, really good idea isn't just left on the shelf. I have a lot of those same logos, flyers, and graphics in my library that I was never even able to display because the idea was never able to come off the ground. And out of respect for the people that had the ideas, I didn't put their things out there before. I don't put my clients' things out before they're ready to say. So as I just went down this road, I would say just within the last few years, I realized that this wasn't just something to do, but this definitely was a God call to serve the world. Because I mean, when God put you on this planet, every single one of us, no one came on this planet without a purpose or something, or a gift or a talent or an experience that could be used to change the world around you or the world internationally. And so when I realized that, and I realized that God gave me this special ability to be able to kind of help people navigate those early spaces and also to translate their ideas into something that people could understand, that's when I realized that this was not a personal thing, this was a God thing.
My God. Now, I'm grateful. I'm glad that you said it is a God thing, because my next question has actually to do with God. But when you were saying that, I remember when we first met. Right, we were working at a tech store, a new tech business.
That was right after my embarrassing flop. That was like immediately after that. Yeah, in case you didn't know.
And what's so funny was that I think why I trusted you in business was because I remembered your character when you were working. You were very disciplined. You were very to the T. Anything that needed to be done, you did it like boom, 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 boom. I don't know what it is. Like, you just know, okay, I can domino this. I'm going to set this up in this way so that this dominoes. I ain't got time for if it can flop, we ain't doing that. We must be saying I already been through that. But you were just so good at it. So I knew that I could trust you, with my brand per se. And so I'm glad that you said that. But one of the things that I asked this to another guest, one of the things that we, as young business owners, and I say young because there are veterans in business, there are persons who've been doing this for years and they've mastered it, right? And then there are persons who are just believers. I always share how I have this friend, me and her, we talk about everything, God, business, everything. And one of the things that she says is that anyone can get an idea, but it is God's people who gets an instruction, right? God gives his people instructions. So you might have had an idea, but God gave you an instruction on how to, work out that idea, right? And so I say that to say, as you were building out that idea, what were some of as a brand coach and a believer, what were some of the challenges that you had, that you had to overcome basically to get to this point?
I could say one of the main challenges was, you mentioned this word earlier, as identity, right? Because a lot of times as believers, we kind of separate the segments of our life. There's our spiritual life, there's our work life, there's our this, that, and the next, right? But God didn't make us in pieces. He didn't make us as split up parts. We are all connected to ourselves completely, wholly. Your emotions, your health, everything is connected. And so God didn't put us here to have us operating as these different people. You show up in this arena as this type of person. When you go into the marketplace, you show up as a different person. And it's like that's a little schizophrenic, Like our God was not that incomplete.
Mental composition.
God didn't make us as different parts of the one self. He made us in his image and his reflection. And so all these ideas and things that he put in us, they add up to the whole thing. And so, but one of the challenges I faced was, which was, part of the story of the first flop too, was not having any mentors who could say, this is the way. this is a way, this is my way, this is my God way. And so being out there trying to find like, okay, I don't even know what this coaching thing looks like, or this whatever the idea is. I don't exactly know what it is. I don't exactly know how I'm supposed to build it and how I'm supposed to get from where I am towards the great idea. And so the challenge was finding a representation of what it looks like and how it gets there. And so I was doing the same thing that many people do. You go on social media, you try to find the closest person in your space that you could emulate. Some people imitate, some people emulate, and some people look for inspiration or whatever it is. And you're navigating. And when you go on, if you go on Instagram and you're looking for anything, to do with ideas on what to do, all you see is a lot of captions that say, don't do this, 5 things not to do, 5 things to do this, plug and play, use my template, use whatever. And so in the beginning, it was a lot of
copycatting.
But for me, it's like looking for someone to show you this is the path.
Yeah,
but everyone
so
doesn't have a path, the same path, Everyone doesn't necessarily have the same path. Like your past would dictate your path, right? And so you looking at people and you see they doing all this big stuff here, there, and the next thing. You don't know the background story. You don't know how they got to where they got. You don't know what deals they made with whoever they made. You don't know what had advantages they had.
Speak louder for the people.
You don't know what advantages they had to get up. They going on and then they making this big presentation and they appealing to you emotionally, but you don't know. And so from there, it went through several periods of pivoting and just readjusting and realigning and having to eventually realize that, hey, I need to go to the person that gave me the idea to find out what I'm supposed to do with this and how I'm supposed to build this. It's like I why would I go to Toyota factory and ask them how to teach me how to build a Honda?
My God,
they can't help me with that, right? And so it's kind of the same thing. So it's like come on now, you know this. Go to the one that gave you the idea and ask, what am I supposed to do with this? How am I? You gave me God, I believe you gave me the idea. Now tell me how to build this out. Tell me who to lean into. Tell me who to listen to. Tell me what to take. Give me inspiration directly. And so that, the challenge of understanding actually who you are and understanding where to go to get the answers. The person who created you is the person who has answers. That was a major challenge. And I could say that in recognizing that as a challenge, that eliminated all other unnecessary challenges.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So your biggest challenge is identity. I think that's everyone's biggest challenge.
I believe so too.
I think that somebody need to be an identity coach because that is where all the money is, because nobody really knows who they are, what they're called to do. If you really ask persons, who are you?
Most people,
they can't answer that straight. No. They answer it by who they are around, the things that they do in common, right? Yeah. You can't really answer that outright. And I remember just sharing with a friend the other day, I said, I had a dream probably about a year or two ago. And in the dream, God literally identified exactly who I am. It had nothing to do with business. It was very spiritual. But one of the key things was my prayer. It was, and I'm just going to share this. I don't want to get too stringent out of the conversation, but there was this big telephone that fell down from heaven. It was a big war that was going on. And it's crazy because y'all don't feel the type of way, okay? But a big telephone, it was a golden telephone that fell down from heaven. And only me knew the number to dial to get to God.
Wow.
And it was the number 1. And I called that number. And let me tell you something. When I called that number, the sky opened, everything started. And listen. And when he explained to me, when I started to operate and function, mind you, I had dreams prior to all the time. And it was about my prayer because it was something that the Lord was developing in me years before, where he was teaching me one of the key things for your prayer being answered is forgiveness.
Right.
So I had to walk that out so much in my life, forgiving people for, some serious hurt. And I didn't mean I was void of trauma. I don't mean that I was void of trauma. But the reason why I'm saying this is because there are people out there that thinks that their identity comes from the things that they do, but your identity comes from who created you. And when the Lord gave me the understanding that it was prayer, when I started to operate and function in that, I saw my blessings and my breakthrough. It was prayer that even led me here. It was prayer that led me when I left my full-time job, years ago, and the Lord led me as an entrepreneur. That's a serious season. But it was so funny that you mentioned about coaching and all that, because I sought after coaches and stuff like that. But one thing I learned in this season, right? And this is why I wanted to work with you. I wanted to work with you because a lot of times we look for persons who are not in our country, right? We don't realize that the people who, and I'm just saying this, the people who are built in the same place as us, who are doing that thing, we need to work with them because there is a blueprint that they have. Right? There's a blueprint that they have to this thing. And there's a person that I literally spent, and this is no shade because I truly love the person that I did a mentorship with. They are so amazing. They are great at what they do. But I remember sitting in the class and I was like, how can this apply to the Bahamas? Because I'm in the Bahamas.
Seriously.
Like, yes, you can go, y'all could go to y'all tax people, but inland, and that's all I can say. Don't answer their phone, and not to no shade, but I can't get to these tax identifications and all these different things that y'all saying. It's easier for y'all to do that. Y'all could go to the office and get these things done. I can't do that. So how does this actually relate to me being in the Bahamas? But if I'm dealing with a brand coach or someone that is marketing that is from the Bahamas, that has made it out of the Bahamas, like they're doing things with international clients and stuff like that, it works better for me because now I'm seeing how the impact that they're making, and they have a blueprint to take me from the Bahamas into a different market. And I'm just saying that, and that's very important. But one of the things is right at this moment is it costs you something, because when the Lord called me, as an entrepreneur at the time that he did, it cost me to give up almost everything. I had to leave the Bahamas. I was literally off the island for like 3 months, right? And I was I found the coaches. There was resources. And I think that was why God allowed me to form Praying Bosses Kingdom In, because he had given me so many resources. If I tell you the things that I learned, and I was able to, apply it. But this was the thing. It cost you something. It cost me something in prayer. It cost me something to find my identity, but it cost you something to go big. What did it cost you?
Before I get to that, I wanted to say something on what you said before. When I understand this unlock about identity, the Lord showed me how to add that into my coaching. And so I have to tell my clients, like, this may seem strange, but just be open to it. Because the first thing we need to talk about is you.
Y'all hear that?
Because a lot of people, you would say it all the time, business is not personal, right? It is. If it's something that's coming out of your expertise and your experiences and something that means something to you, for you, it is personal. You need to know how to draw the lines where they go. But everything you do in your business as an entrepreneur affects you in a different way than it would your employees or your clients. Even a rejection, right? Because God put in you to pray. If I reject that, what that takes away from you to continue to even decide if you're going to keep going on, that's personal. You paid something for that, right? And so what did I pay for this? The first thing I paid was I had left my quote unquote good job, stable income. It wasn't any problems or whatever. And I had to leave that to jump into entrepreneurship. And leaving that stability, that security, that girl, what are you doing? You're not making any sense with your life. Like, and not having anyone understand, like, you can't see it now, but this is supposed to work for something greater, and I can't tell you what that is. I don't have the proof.
It rough with you.
I mean, I had my car. I bought my car while I was working on that job. I was a brand new car I bought off the lot, nice cherry red car I bought, and within the first couple of months of me taking that plunge, they came knocking on my door to pick up that car, and I was like. In principal dollar wise, not counting interest, I had already paid what I paid off what I paid for the car because I was doing all the
Mm.
things they say to do, put
Mm.
extra and X, Y, Z. So it was interest now that, makes the sum bigger. And, but I lost all of that. And so even in losing that, I lost relationships because I had to separate relationships in order to make the plunge.
Mhm.
I lost confidence in myself.
Mhm.
I lost, I was embarrassed for so long. And so the price for going big was everything that I believed was me. It's like all the things that were shaped in my identity and my understanding of who I was and who I was supposed to be
Mhm.
and how I was supposed to present to people. I paid that. I was stripped of everything that I knew to be me,
Ooh. Oh my
every
goodness.
single thing, and I paid that price.
Mhm.
And so you talked about when we met on that job, that was me accepting defeat and saying,
Mhm.
okay, this didn't work. I need to
Mm.
bounce back,
Mhm.
but I need to go and do something. And so
Mhm.
that what you saw there was me fresh out of that, like
Mm.
fresh out of, okay, shut this thing down, this
Mhm.
isn't working, back on a job and being lost. Like, did I
Why am
hear
I
from
here?
God at all?
Mhm.
Was that the sensible thing to do? Can I go back and change
Mhm.
things? But also realizing, like, but no, there's a deep, great call on the inside of me, and I can't let that go. And so,
Mhm.
even from where we worked together
Mhm.
and transitioning into another job,
Mhm.
from there, for another 4 years, I was on this job. I
Mhm.
always knew that, but how it is when you kind of committed to working on um, your time,
Mhm.
your energy, your resources, your mental capacity, and all that, working on a
Correct.
job. You
Mhm.
can't really
Be creative.
be creative because you're too tired. You're
Mhm.
putting it all into someone else's dreams and their visions and what's not. And at the end of the day, when you get off 6 o'clock, you're sitting down and you don't have nothing left to give.
Nothing left.
So I didn't have anything left to give myself.
Or you're up late at night trying to put it together, trying to bring something you just dry well.
Drive out. So yeah, so that's what I paid. I paid everything. The
Mm,
cost of being going big was everything.
my God.
I wasn't able to salvage anything. I mean, and
Mm,
I will look back in my life because of the type of person I am. I'm not a big spender or was
mhm.
not. I may spend on, things that I can't even count. But I would look
Food.
back in my life, food, basically, dining out and stuff like that.
Miss Nat's restaurant, call 352 seven
So
five
get
nine six
yourself
if
some
you
good
want to spend your
food.
money on some good food today on a Friday.
And sure you'll get better value than what I got spending on these things.
Mhm.
And so I was like, when I was living good, I never bought designer.
Mhm.
I didn't have nothing to look back at to say, at least I have this Gucci bag, some jewelry, or nothing. So I literally paid everything.
Mm. Oh my goodness. This is such a great conversation. Well, you paid everything. But I have this to ask you because what you paid, the result of it is so beautiful. Every time I look at, I don't know if you guys know about Shemia's brand, Shemia A. Williams. You can find her on Facebook. She's everywhere. She's Facebook, Instagram. Shemia actually builds websites as well.
Yes.
She builds landing pages and all that stuff. I personally have a landing page. If you want to see the work that Shemia did for Draya, okay, go type in drayablooms.com, okay, and you can see the beautiful work that Shemia did. But one thing I love about Shemia's brand is that it's very clean and it's very clear. And this is not an advertisement for Facebook, okay? But it is very clean and it is very clear. And what I want to know is how long did it take for you to fine tune your brand to simplicity and clarity?
Well, me personally, I am more of a minimalist in general.
I believe that I'm a minimalist, but I don't.
It just
People
doesn't
say
come up.
it don't come off
It
like
don't
that.
come up.
You go ahead.
But yeah, my style has always been timeless because
Mhm.
I recognize that if you want to build something to last, you have to think about the future as you're
Mhm.
building. And so I don't follow trends or anything like that.
Mhm.
I've never been a big trend follower either.
Mhm.
I want to teach people, like, you could start the trend, but no one really sets out to start a trend. It happens,
Mm.
right? If your goal is to start a trend, it's definitely going to be something that doesn't last or anything like that. So,
For
but
real.
yeah, I've always been clean and clear, and I've actually found myself, believing, like I said, in those early days, looking at all these do's and don'ts and what's not and the advice, I was kind of struggling against being me. I was because my brand colors is simple. It's a dark charcoal, a light white, a white grayish color, and then a gold color. And I would look and I was like, but I need to add something. A
Mhm.
pop here, something there. You know? And eventually I was like, you know what? Forget it. I like black and white. I like things to be classy and timeless, and
Mhm.
that's what I want. And I want every time you see something that's related to me that is consistent straight across the board. And so I try to help people like, don't try to be like me. Maybe your style isn't that, but be authentic. Be authentic about what it is that you want, and it's really no right and wrong when it comes to certain things. There's certain things that make things better than others,
Mhm.
but if that's what you authentically, feel like you want to present yourself, and you could do that and you could sustain that, go ahead and do it. But let's try to keep it classy, and let's try to keep it in a way where it could grow with you over time. Not
Yeah.
something you have to change again next year and next season and over and over.
Oh my goodness. One of another thing about Shemia is that she not only does she provide clean, clear, simplicity and clarity and classy, she also does something that a lot of people don't know about, and that's digital products. Creating digital products for people. If you don't know what a digital product is, let's just say, and I actually am a product of Shemia's work, especially with brand coaching and brand styling. For me, y'all, listen. I had an ebook I created, and let me tell y'all something. That ebook, it just had a lot of features. It had a lot of things going on, and it was very fussy. Okay, but and it just needed to bring it back in, wheel it in, and make it just clean, timeless, classy, everything. Shamia did that. I was supposed to launch the ebook with the site, and my ebook is called Break Free from Fear and Bloom. Shamia literally took that ebook and redesigned that ebook. And I was like, what did she do? Okay. Because it looks so beautiful. Like it is so beautiful. It is so it's like it could attract anyone that literally wants to break free from fear and bloom. It's not just like just so personal to me, but it's also personal for persons who are, probably afraid, you want to get to that next side. And so for those of you who are out there who, are trying to create a product digitally, that means you want people to access it online only. You want people to, anywhere from anywhere around the world to access this product. Then what would they be doing? They'll be seeing Shamia, because Shamia is so good at it. She makes your biggest brightest ideas, she fine tunes it so that you can actually, share it to the people that it was created for. I think sometimes we're all over the place. And so although I mentioned that, God told me my identity about a year or so ago, I still am going through, and I think that's why I'm in this moment right now. You don't hear me talk about my makeup and like that at this moment. You don't hear me talk about a lot of things at this moment because I'm trying to get clarity on how this is supposed to be packaged. Like I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but it's like trying to put this in one place because a lot of persons don't know. And I think that's why you see me mostly focus more on the talk shows around here at the studio versus anything else, because I love talk. I remember how I even got this job before speak just believe seeing what the vision was and just speaking it into action. I sat with one of my friends one day and I said, I'm going to get paid to talk to people, because that was the only thing. I know Dove Nations be like, oh, Drea's talk so much, but that was the only thing that I know I could do. I could be on the phone for 10 hours. I ain't run out of words yet. I used to talk my Grammy to sleep. Okay. One time I was talking to her from 8 o'clock and it was like about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I said, Grammy, she said, girl, you still talking? She was done knocked right out cold. And I was still talking. And I said, I'm going to get paid to talk because I identified what was my most natural gift that I love to do, that I was able to do, that I was passionate about doing. And this was also something that God was leading me to.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of persons, they're out there, they don't know what their gifts is, they don't know what their talent is, and they don't know how to package it. And one of the reasons why I wanted Shemia on here is because a lot of persons don't know that there's actually someone that is right near you that is able to help you package, that is able to help you get clarity and bring simplicity to it, because sometimes we just be fussy. And so fine tuning that So I want to say this in regards to you, that one of your brand style is an open expression of your humor. People, you have me laughing already, but people don't know Shamia is literally very humorous. Like if you are in her presence, you're definitely gonna laugh. If you're watching her from a social media standpoint, you are definitely gonna. You don't even know to press a heart or press the kiki emoji, because listen, that's what she does. She brings humor to it. So I want to know from you, how important is humor as a believer to your brand?
I don't know if it has anything to do with necessarily being a believer or not, as much as it is just being comfortable with yourself
Mm-hmm.
as you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going back to the mistakes I made in the beginning, trying to sound and act like people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what they do, and it's how they sound, and these are the types of words they use, and very demure, very
Mindful, very
mindful.
cutesy.
You know, trying to sound and be like everyone else, and
Mm-hmm.
and I had to find my voice
Mm-hmm.
in the noise,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to show up as me. I was telling my sister this morning, like people laugh at me all the time, and I'm like, I don't think I'm funny, right? It's like people laugh when I'm being serious, and I was like, I don't set out to be, funny or smart, and so, but I do enjoy laughing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get my attention, like tell me a joke. Like I laugh all the time.
Uh-huh.
And so, but it's just allowing the way that I naturally speak and relate to people to
Mm-hmm.
come forward in the light. So even you knowing me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you read a post,
Mm-hmm.
you can hear my voice saying it.
Right,
You're
right.
right. And so in being able to share the humor, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how I naturally am,
Mm-hmm.
it gives my audience a chance to get to know me.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the people that know me a chance to relate to me a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, in branding, that's what you want to do.
You want to be authentic.
You want people to see and know and hear and feel
Who you
like
are.
it's you
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah.
they come in contact with whatever it is that you put out, however you show up.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be consistent straight across the board, not deciding today I'm going to be this and that. And that's your brand. Maybe your brand is, you want to show up as different
Mm-hmm.
versions of yourself everywhere
Like
else.
Martin.
But right.
Yeah, because
But
Martin was everything in his show.
you could be you know how exhausting it is to be a different version of yourself every time you move around.
Woo.
That's tiring, just showing up as I say some people think that they're introverted because they don't like to be outside, but I'm like, maybe you're just tired because you everywhere you go you have to be a different version of
Oh
yourself,
my
and that's
goodness.
exhausting.
Mm-hmm. It very much is. I feel like that's me though. I feel like I have to be different versions of myself. But this is the thing. I look at it from the standpoint of, and I have to bring this name up again, Martin, because for me, my greatest desire, people don't know this, is to be an actress.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that I just be acting. It's more so that I love the idea of being able to do multiple things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But bringing it into one big picture,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's my thing. That's my style. My style is, being able to be here and do this. Mm-hmm. And when you see me again, I look different. I look doing something else, and then you see me over there, and Martin had a lot of characters on his sitcom, and you were like what, and there were other persons, who changed up their characters and stuff like that, but the authenticity is that we know him to be funny,
right?
And
It's a
all
root,
of
it's a
it,
tying
there's
thing,
one tying thing,
right?
And so for me, I like I said, I'm in a season right now, especially with God, on identifying, like, who is it that you calling me to be beyond what it is I'm good at doing,
right?
Who is your daughter in this, who am I as your daughter,
right? And sometimes who are you in this season?
In this
Because these
season.
different seasons,
Mhm.
you find yourself maturing and evolving and all of that. And so even how you show up today may be different from how we see you in the next season.
Because I may
But it's
have
still
longer
that,
hair.
but it would still be that underlying or authentic thing that I know that is Draya.
The laugh. Everybody know me from my laugh and talking about food. But anyway, I definitely want to make sure that this conversation ends the way that I think everyone wants to hear from you. What is it that you feel is, because you're showing up and you're talking about this season, right? And then there's the next season. We know that we're in that quarter where a quarter is about to end this month, and then the last quarter of the year is about to kick in. What do you feel like? Where do you feel like you are in this season, and how is Shemia showing up in this time as big, bold, borderless?
Let's see. I think I have to go back to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Last year
Mm-hmm.
was a big awakening for me,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of reasons, personal and what's not. But in that, I made a decision to be intentional about anything that I would do. And so I decided that I would not just be sitting back allowing life to happen to me and waiting for life to happen to me, but just to go out there. And so I did a lot of things that was outside of my just normal expectations of what people would think about me. And I went outside a lot. I was at all the things. I was, and that's just generally not me. I prefer to be in the background. I don't mind if I'm not seen, but I put myself out there and I put my face out there a lot. Got to know a lot of people and to move forward with that. And so even coming into this year, I was still going in that trend. But in March of this year, I had I already knew from January that certain things I needed to work on. You have your list and what's not. And I had worked on certain things or outlined certain things I wanted to do, but there was this one thing that I was like, okay, I'm not ready to talk about that yet because I know this would be bigger and bolder and brighter and way beyond anything that I was doing. But I wanted to be intentional about sitting down and getting it done. Well, in March, I got the flu for the first time in 7 years.
Wow.
And that flu knocked me out so bad. Like I would think that I would have had the energy to do certain things, but I just couldn't get up. I was laying down a lot. And I had to shut down everything that I was doing. And in that time, God asked me, like, do you want to keep on doing things the way you are now? Like, are you satisfied here? Or do you want to do the big thing? Do you want me to take you into these big spaces and to do these things? And I was like, I want it. And I was crying while I was saying it because I know that the level of discomfort that would come along with that, I may not have been prepared for the price.
The price.
The price.
The price.
The price.
Yes,
right?
it is price.
Right. And so I said, God, I want to be able to follow you and to do what it is that you want to do. And so even wrapping up this quarter now with things that I was working on in the next season, God is saying, Shemia, it's bigger. It's bigger. Woo! It's bigger. It's bigger. Bigger audiences, bigger expressions, bigger ideas, and all of those things. So even right now, I am working on what bigger means. Ooh. So the rest of the month, I'm going to be shut down office wise and just allowing God to tell me what exactly that is. So I don't want to say too much about what that is, but I'll just say, follow me on Instagram at the Shemia Williams if you want to get the announcements, or you could go on my website at bigboldwaterlist.com and sign up to get on my mailing list. So once the announcements is made about what it is and what those things are, you'll be the first to know. But yes, it's definitely bigger and helping people to do the bigger thing. One of the things I said in the last season was, after I wrapped up a project that I was working on, I said, you know what? Get yourself some friends who are willing to push you off the ledge. And not in a negative way, in a hateful way, but friends who they willing to push you. And the reason they're pushing you is because they know that they there for you. And so if it starts to get a little rocky, they got you. And these God ordained friends. And these friends may not look like the friends you ever had. Ooh. They may show up in random places and just be different. But just find those people in your life and just allow it to happen. Get some people to just say, okay, you've been talking about this thing for a little while now. Like you say you was gonna jump. You've been talking about jumping from the last 2, 3, 4 years on the same. Push you off the ledge. Let me help you with that. Get yourself some friends who can push you off the ledge. And like I say, these may be your natural friends, but this may also mean putting yourself in spaces and places where you could grow and just be supported by people who have the same kind of ideas and mentality as you to grow and to do the big thing.
My goodness, this was such a great and explosive conversation on all things value. Shemia definitely brought value to this show. I want to clear up something because I did say, one of the things that people don't know that what I want to be is an actress, but it is a film producing director. And so acting is like I could be like a supporting actress in a movie or something like that. But one is a film producing director as well as a writer. That's my greatest passion. I'm always writing. If you want to give me something beautiful, give me a journal, give me a book and a beautiful pen, right? And then survival. Okay.
Mhm.
But I definitely want everyone out there to tell Shemia happy
Thank you,
birthday.
thank you.
Yeah, Shemia celebrated her birthday, a big milestone, and I'm sure that as she's growing to a new age with even greater wisdom, that this is another season of bigger for Shemia. Tell Dove Nation, just one thing what bigger means to you and what you can give to leave for them.
What bigger means to me is taking the limits off God and just allowing Him to erase everything in your mind that you know to be true and start you over from the beginning
Ooh.
and to go into the wild. So my crossover, my big milestone is crossing over from, it took 40 years for the children in the wilderness, and so I didn't do anything for 40 because I'm like I'm not complete. And so, but it's that 41, that crossover, like year one. This is your first year now into the promised land. And one of the things I realized too is like God did wonders in the wilderness. He said your shoes wouldn't wear out, your clothes wouldn't wear out, you had food, manna to eat every day from heaven. So now crossing over into from wilderness mentality where you surviving, because we've been I we've been resilient and being made to survive on daily bread. But God has a place for us that is the promised land, where it's no longer going to be manna falling from heaven to feed you. There's milk and honey flowing in things like that happening. And so crossing over into that new space. And so I call it now my season of going from wonders to wilder wonders and allowing God to define what the big is. I'm not putting the restrictions on God and defining what big is in this season. And I could say that's scary to say that, but yeah, we spend a lot of time wasting trying to define God and what He wants and how He wants to do it, but just gotta fall off that ledge and let Him be the one to lift you up and give you your wings.
Woo! Give you eagle wings. You shall mount up on wings as eagles. You shall run and not get weary, and you shall walk and not faint. He's about to restore your youth, okay? Yes. And so listen, your youth about to be restored, my youth about to be restored. Because I definitely want to be youthful and like youthful in this next season. I don't want to look like what I've been through because I like what I've been through right now, okay? But thank you so much, Shemia, for joining me in studio today. Shemia is a brand coach, okay? She is the head coach over there at Big Bull Borderless Creative Group. You can find her everywhere on every platform, on Facebook at Shemia A. Williams. You can also find her over there on Instagram, same thing. And then her website is borderlesscreativegroup.com. And listen, all of her links are somewhere in one of those bios on her page. You can find out, and to find out more about Shemia, what she does, whether it's digital products, you want to get your ebook together, okay? You want to go and see Shemia. You want to get your website, your landing page. You want to see Shemia. Or if you just want to make sure, okay, your life, okay, is going to a place of bigger and not smaller. Like she said, you gotta give up everything to get to a place of bigger. And if you need some help in identifying, where you are, then call the brand coach, Shemia A. Williams. Thank you so much, Shemia, for being on my show today. Oh my goodness. Yesterday's prize viewers and listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in, locking in with your girl, Draya Blooms on Dove 103.7 FM. Don't forget, you can watch this show every Friday at 1 o'clock p.m. Today, we did a special time because, as you know, it is Dove Health Education Week, where specialists are coming in to tell you guys all about health. So you definitely want to make sure that next week you tune in at the 1 o'clock hour. But I thank Shemia for bringing activity to my show today. And don't forget, this show is sponsored by Miss Nat's Restaurant, 352-7596 to get yourself some good breakfast and lunch, especially on a Friday. On a Friday. Don't forget, you can get the wings platter with all the different flavors. Make sure the peri wings is on that, the mango, barbecue, and regular fry, because ain't nothing like regular fry wings. And if you don't know, okay, remember that this show is founded upon John 3:16, because God values you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and locking in with your girl, Draya Blooms, on your radios until that 2 o'clock hour. Keep it locked in right here and don't touch that dial on 103.7 FM. I'm out.